Hi all, this is Simona Rich. In this video I would like to read out some quotes from Nisargadatta Maharaj's book, I Am That. If you don't know this enlightened person, he was similar to Ramana Maharishi, but he was less known because he didn't have an ashram. He continued living the way that he did before his enlightenment. He didn't pay much attention to anything of this world. He wasn't after wealth or anything like this, although he could easily have become wealthy as a result of his universal knowledge, but he didn't. He was definitely a genuinely liberated person. So I decided to make some notes of the quotes that really resonated with me. So in this video I'm going to read them out to you. Just realize the one mover behind all that moves and leave all to him. If you do not hesitate or cheat, this is the shortest way to reality. Stand without desire or fear, relinquishing all control and all responsibility. And most people, of course, find it very difficult to let go, relinquish all control, because they think that they are the doers. But if you read Indian scriptures, you often come across the statement that you're not the doer. It seems like you are the one who is making things happen, but actually you're not the doer. There is a power moving you, moving the body, and that power is actually you. And it's true. When you just relax into the being, what happens is that you naturally do things effortlessly, and you understand it's not you. It's not like you're moved and you know that you're moved by some force when you're doing, but you're just naturally doing things, and then you understand there is some force that's doing things for you. And it's told here that you should stand without desire or fear, because these two really make it difficult to get liberated. So this book is written in a question and answer format. So some devotee or a person who came to the Maharaj asks him a question and then he answers. So this was probably the question, what is the projecting power? And the answer is, it's imagination prompted by desire, our projecting power. Listen, remember, and understand. The mind is both the actor and the stage. That was often what he was telling, that everything is an illusion. The mind itself creates everything. And people think, how can my mind be so creative? How can I create this detailed world? And then Maharaj would answer, that's because you did not investigate yourself deep enough. You don't know your power, because you're just living life ignorantly without investigating the power of your mind, the power of your who you really are. So far you took yourself to be the movable and overlooked the immovable. Turn your mind inside out, overlook the movable, and you will find yourself to be the ever-present, changeless reality, inexpressible but solid like a rock. So he tells people to ignore the phenomena that this world is, that changes, that people come into being and people die, seasons change, everything is changeable in this world. There is absolutely no stability, and what is unstable, what is changing is not who we are. We are the ones that observe everything in this reality. So if we So it asks to turn your mind inside out and to ignore that which is changeable, because that's not us. And then we can find something that is very solid, which is our true selves. Welcome all that comes with a glad and thankful heart, and love all creatures. This too will take you to yourself. Welcome all that comes with a glad and thankful heart. Love all creatures. This too will take you to yourself, to accept everything that happens in this world. Desire nothing, for you lack nothing. The very seeking prevents you from finding. Desire nothing, for you lack nothing. The very seeking prevents you from finding. If we search for what we want to find, we can't find because we already have it. So desire nothing. He also says in other places in the book that desire is like a veil that prevents you from seeing who you really are. And I'm, of course, telling this in different words, but that's what he means, that whenever you fear or whenever you desire, that's like a wall coming between you, between who you really are. And you can't find who you really are. You kind of build a wall that prevents you from finding your true self. Develop the witness attitude and you will find in your own experience that detachment brings control of nature. Develop the witness attitude and you will find in your own experience that detachment brings control of nature. Oh, I remember, basically he was telling that one person asked him, how come I can be in control of everything in this world, of everything that happens to me? And he says that if you're detached, that's what will happen. And then the person says, how can this be if I don't do anything? How can I change anything? And he said, don't underestimate the power of observation. It's very active and it has a lot of power in that, in the just detachment and observation of the world. And if you're an observer of the world, you have immense power to change it. But if you're attached to the world, you lose that power. The state of witnessing, I noted that the state of witnessing is full of power. There is nothing passive about it. So develop the witness attitude and you will find in your own experience that detachment brings control of nature. The state of witnessing is full of power. There is nothing passive about it. All you can do is to know your mind well. Not that the mind will help you, but by knowing your mind, you may avoid your mind disabling you. You have to be very alert, or else your mind will play false with you. It's like watching a thief. Not that you expect anything from a thief, but you do not want to be robbed. In the same way, you give a lot of attention to your mind without expecting anything from it. So he often advises to watch the mind and to avoid any thoughts. If thoughts come, just observe them. Don't get attached to them, but just keep watching your mind. When you demand nothing from the world nor of God, when you want nothing, seek nothing, expect nothing, then the supreme state will come to you uninvited and unexpected. How beautiful it is put. And there are different stages of searching for truth, of wanting to get liberated. Firstly, people consume a lot of information, but then that's enough. They already have more than enough information, and then they start practicing, and then there comes a period of ripening when you don't do anything, you don't talk much, but you're actually growing. You are getting prepared for becoming liberated. And it looks like you don't do much, but actually a lot of going on. A lot of is going on. So here it's told that at that stage, when you don't demand anything from the world, there comes a stage when you don't. When you don't demand anything of God, when you want nothing, seek nothing, expect nothing, then soon that state of liberation will come to you unexpected. Why should seeking end before one can realize? That was the question. And he answered, the desire for truth is the highest of all desires, yet it's still a desire. All the desires must be given up for the real to be. Remember that you are. This is your working capital. Rotate it, and there will be much profit. Just to be focused on yourself. I know, this listening and reading became a habit with you, he's telling to one person. Then that person told, I gave it up too. I do not read nowadays. Then he said, what you gave up is of no importance. Now, what have you not given up? Find out and give up that. Sadhana, spiritual practice, is a search for what to give up. Empty yourself completely. Give up all ideas about yourself and simply be. That question, is there a way to perceive reality directly and immediately? He answered, stop making use of your mind and see what happens. Do this one thing thoroughly, that is all. Your weakness is due to your conviction that you were born into the world. In reality, the world is ever recreated in you and by you. See everything as emanating from the light, which is you, which is the source of your own being. You will find that in that light there is love and infinite energy. See everything as emanating from the light, which is the source of your being. Our minds can only take us so far, and our minds can show us that we are the witness, but that's just the translation, the interpretation of what we actually are. We are the background in which everything happens, and we are the light which projects and creates everything that we see. Without us, nothing of such would exist. So, Nisargadatta Maharaj always tells to focus on that witness, to that background, and try to understand that everything happens because of you. Without you, nothing would exist. And then people often would ask him, how come? So there are other people also experiencing this world. And he says that there are different points of consciousness, but we are actually all one. We are kind of individualized consciousness, but we are actually the same. We are one. And therefore, if I exist, you will also exist. Everyone would exist because we are one. So without us, without this one awareness, this world would not exist. But people think that they are born into this world, that they are less real than the world, but actually without us, this world could not exist. Your weakness is due to your conviction. Yeah, I read that. The main point to grasp is that you have projected onto yourself a world of your own imagination, based on memories, on desires and fears, and that you have imprisoned yourself in it. Break the spell and be free. Question: how does one break the spell? Maharaj: assert your independence in thought and action. Do not do things that you think you're supposed to do in this world based on your circumstances and who you are, but just be totally free in thought and action, and then that's how you break the spell, the prison of this world. Your love of the world is the reflection of your love of yourself, for your world is of your own creation. The main thing is to be free of negative emotions, desire, fear, and so on, the 6 enemies of the mind. Once the mind is free of them, the rest will come easily. Just as cloths kept in soapy water will become clean, so will the mind get purified in the stream of pure feeling. I think it's better to say pure being, but it's told pure feeling. Not to soil the mind with any negative emotions. Just be, and that's how the mind gets purified. When you sit quiet and watch yourself, all kinds of things may come into the surface. Do nothing about them. Don't react to them. As they have come, so will they go by themselves. All that matters is mindfulness, total awareness of oneself, or rather of one's mind. He often says, he doesn't even recommend meditation like a formal meditation. He says it's good to start with meditation, but then later you just need to watch the mind. So you can even in your normal day doing things, You just watch the mind, and even if thoughts come, you watch the thoughts. Ideally, there should be no thoughts, and later they will definitely decrease in number, and that's the practice. Just watch the mind. Both for a seeker of reality there is only one, but for a seeker of reality, that's the quote, but for a seeker of reality there is only one meditation. The rigorous refusal to harbor thoughts, to be free from thoughts, is itself meditation. You begin by letting thoughts flow and watching them. The very observation slows down the mind till it stops altogether. Once the mind is quiet, keep it quiet. Don't get bored with peace. Be in it. Go deeper into it, and then you will experience liberation. All illness begins in the mind. Take care of the mind first by tracing and eliminating all wrong ideas and emotions. They are the ones that cause disease. And if you see people who are the most diseased, you will find them stuck completely in some kind of repetitive negative emotions or some repetitive negative thoughts like thought patterns. They become very robotic, and once some negative emotion or thought becomes habitual, disease can manifest. Then live and work disregarding illness and think of no more of it. With the removal of causes, the effect is bound to depart. When you don't think negative thoughts or have negative emotions, then you don't need to worry about the illness because the cause is eliminated and therefore it will disappear. I love this advice. The final, this almost the last one. It's your mind only that makes you insecure and unhappy. It's so true, and people think unhappiness just is, insecurity just is, but it's not true. If you watch the mind, it is the one that gives insecurity ideas, that you will lose security thoughts that are unhappy, and then you become unhappy because you identify with your thoughts. But if you don't, if you watch the mind and you prevent these evil thoughts from coming into your mind, you are happy and you feel secure. It's definitely the mind that makes people unhappy and insecure. But if people don't watch their minds, they will never know. They will think insecurity just is, unhappiness just happens to them, but it's not true. And the final quote, you need not set in mind, you don't need to set the mind right. It will set itself right as soon as you give up all the concern with the past and the future and live entirely in the now, which is I guess Eckhart Tolle could say exactly the same. And again, it's so important because the past is already gone, the future is not yet there. So if we live in the past, we base our lives on something that's not there. If we live in the future, again, we base our lives on some kind of idea of what will happen, which is not true. So what we can do is just to live in the now. And he also, Nisargadatta Maharaj also says to do things spontaneously. Don't do things robotically based on your beliefs or the way that you are, but just do things at the time that's required and just allow yourself to be spontaneous, because then you will end up taking the right action every time. I love his book, I Am That. It's a big one, maybe more than 500 pages. I love reading it to get me into meditative state. After reading it, I just want to sit quietly and just stay in peace. I love that book and I really recommend it. So these are some quotes from the book. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Take care.